Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone on Zoom land. I'm Jennifer Martin. I'm the Executive Director of the Clay Studio. I'd like to welcome you all here today. Thank you for joining us. We are allowed to do this beautiful program because of our beautiful building, and you are the community of people who helped us get to where we are today. So just a special thank you for that. Just a little bit of housekeeping. There's restrooms right behind you on this floor. There's a coat closet if you'd like to hang your coat. And please enjoy some coffee and tea and snacks this morning. If you're on Zoom, you're missing out on all of that. Sorry about that. I'm going to pass this over to Jennifer Zwilling, our curator and director of artistic program. She and co-curator Mikung Lee have been working on this exhibition for about 3 years now. It is a beautiful show and exhibition. I hope you've all had a chance to check it out downstairs in our gallery. We are proud to highlight these 12 artists and our guest artist, Jury Kim, who's also going to be here with us today to share their ideas. So thank you again for joining us and enjoy the day.
Thank you, Jennifer. Don't tell her I didn't have the microphone on when she was talking. That's okay, you have a strong voice.
What?
I didn't have the microphone on. Okay, hi everybody, in person and online. We are really honored to be here with you today. Oh, I'm getting a text to somebody not able to hear us. Nope, I think it's fine. Still nothing. Better now? Okay. We acknowledge that the Clay Studio is located on the homeland of the Lenape people and pay respect and honor their role as caretakers of this land in the past, present, and future. I want to echo Jennifer's thanks to our incredibly supportive community. I'm so thankful for all of you for making time to be here today. I know that it is a kind of rainy day. So for those of you in person, thank you. And those of you online, we're really excited that we're able to offer these programs in a hybrid way so that as many people as possible can join us. I'd like to thank especially my incredible partner in curating the show, Mikung Lee, who will share her own art journey from Korea to the United States with us in a few moments. Her generosity and insight made this show what it is. The idea for the exhibition was inspired by studio visits that I had with resident artists over the years. I've been at the Clay Studio since 2015, which is really exciting and kind of crazy that it's almost 9 years. But really from the beginning, when I got to start by talking to Aron Kim, who was one of our resident artists, and then Yeram Lee, and then our current resident artists, Sujin, Mina, and Jinsik, I started to really hear some common threads in their stories. And around the same time, Elizabeth Agro at the Art Museum had been doing research on her show, The Shape of Time, which is on view now. And it just sort of made sense that we would be able to present the amazing ceramic artists who are working, who had come from Korea and come to the United States or to Canada. Alongside that exhibition. And now today, if you notice, there are exhibitions of Korean art all over Philadelphia, all over New York. Really, it's an incredible moment for this. So Mikung Lee was generous enough to become my co-curator, and her insight really allowed the show to be as wonderful as it is today. So thank you, Mikung. And please note that she has a solo exhibition at the Princeton Museum of Art right now. So you should take a trip up there. I'd also like to thank all of my colleagues at the Clay Studio who go above and beyond every day to make our exhibitions and symposia look beautiful and run smoothly. Jennifer Martin, who you just met, Josie Bachman, Charity Thaxton, Emily Wallace, Naima Stiff, Sarah Davis, Jay Belinsky, our studio techs, Paul Serena, Doug Tang, and Maya Wasileski. We could not put the art in place without them. And every time we need to move something, we have to call, and they're amazing and skilled art handlers. Shelley Farul, who built the base that you'll see on Jury Kim's work when we go downstairs later. And our development department, who write amazing grants, including the National Endowment for the Arts grant that is funding this exhibition. Last but not least, Rachel Tate, our events coordinator. Okay, today we are very honored that James Kim, president of the Korean American Association of Greater Philadelphia, is here with us today and has graciously agreed to offer some remarks to begin our program. This is an amazing organization. It's an umbrella organization that serves the 83,000 Korean Americans who live in Philadelphia and the collar counties and address everything from culture to business. And I just can't help but note that Mr. Kim is an insurance agent. And I was telling him the story about the Clay Studio. We would not exist if we didn't have an amazing insurance agent back in 1981, when the building that we were in at the time was destroyed by a fire. And it was the insurance money that allowed us to then hire a professional executive director and really move the organization more towards what it is today. So it's very important. So thanks, Mr. Kim.
Hello, everyone. My name is James Kim, the president of Korean American Association of the Greater Philadelphia. I mean, we say 안녕하세요 means hello, everyone. So, I mean, I'm really honored to be here. I thank Jennifer for inviting me here in person. Also, Mi-kyung Lee, she actually outreached me saying that we have a clay studio, which I never heard of it before. And I'm sure all these artists actually suffered big time during the pandemic. I mean, everybody else too, but most likely all these artists actually stay home and they cannot actually put on the show what they made, what they created. But I'm really proud that we have 12 Korean Americans or Koreans actually participating in this, I mean, artist work here in the Clay Studio. It's really honor. I mean, I hope that we knew this, I mean, a month ago, then probably we can actually bring more Korean Americans to join here today, but I'm sorry about that. But I mean, we actually celebrating 120 years immigrating into the United States a year ago. And then it was a big event everywhere, every big cities here in the United States. We do have about 2.5 million people, million Korean or Korean Americans living here in USA at this point. I mean, a lot of people actually participating in different fields. When they moved here first time, they actually participating, having stores, you know, small stores, grocery stores, like dry cleaners. Probably 90% of our dry cleaners owned by the Koreans. So I mean, if you stop by any Korean, I mean, dry cleaners, you're gonna happen to see the Korean American talking to you. I mean, so we actually fit into our nation's community very well, but our goal is to get into the next generation. We have Korean American second generation, third generation, and fourth at this point, but they don't know much about the Korea. That's why we're trying to educate them what is the true identity of as of Korean Americans. I'm sure these two artists from Korea or either who lives in the United States or other country, Canada, yes. I mean, they actually suffered big time. I just talked to Mrs. Kim over there, big time during the pandemic too. I mean, I can tell, I can see that. But having 12 great artists having showing up their arts here in the Clay Studio, it's really honorable for as a Korean American in our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. It means a lot to us. Okay, well, I am excited to hand it over to Mi-kyung Lee. Mi-kyung is a South Korean-born fiber artist who lives and works in Philadelphia and Virginia. She earned her BFA from Donghae University in Busan, Korea, and later earned a master's degree in book arts and printmaking from the University of the Arts and in fibers from Cranbrook Academy of Art. She was recently the director of craft and materials studies and the head of fibers at the University of the Arts here in Philadelphia, which is why she's an important part of our community and how we got to know her. And currently she is the director of the art, design, and art history department at James Madison University. Thank you, Mi-kyung. I'm going to open Mi-kyung's presentation and mute myself so she can talk to all of you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good to see everyone. I'm honored to be one of the presenters as a co-curator of the Between Horizon exhibition in the Symposium today. Because of a conflict.
I'm sorry, Mi-kyung, can you hold on 1 second? I think we didn't turn our volume up all the way. 1 second.
Okay, no problem.
I'm so sorry. We should have tested this. Can you speak again?
Can you hear okay now?
That's better.
Okay. Good to see everyone. I'm honored to be one of the presenters as a co-curator of the Between Horizon exhibition. In the symposium today, in this short presentation, I would like to share a brief of my artworks and the connections to this exhibition. And before I started, I would love to thank you, Jennifer Zwilling and James Kim, for just starting this amazing remarks, and also all the artists. So Jennifer, maybe you can show to the next slides, please. I arrived in Philadelphia in 1993 from Busan, South Korea, and I'm currently, as Jennifer mentioned, director of School of Art Design and Art History at James Madison University in Virginia. I've been commuting back and forth between Harrisonburg and Philadelphia. It's been quite an amazing journey past year and a half. Next, please. So I would like to start with the short film Blanket that I worked on from 2018 to right around the pandemic began. Jennifer, do you think we can show the film, please? Around the time in my late 40s, being here in the United States for nearly 3 decades, I thought a lot about home. And besides my personal identity, connection with the home, and having 2 cultures, I have witnessed many homeless people growing up in the city. The sound is not on, unfortunately, but in this work, I questioned the notion of a home and the city's cultural, social, economic landscape. In this blanket project, each panel was a machine embroidered the word of home. This work was patchworked and then dragged the parts of Philadelphia to north, east, west, and south. Jennifer, we can go back to the screen. Sorry, the back and forth you have to. And we can move to the next slide, please. Number 4. Thank you. So this is the final results, everyone. The residues of the city marks are all over the drag, the blanket. And I wish that I could continue. Unfortunately, the city shut down. I had to stop, but it was a really meaningful project to work on. Next slides, please. Studying fiber art and teaching textile and material studies for over 20 years, I really fell in love with labor-intensive and repetitive process in textile. The beauty of a labor became the central core of my work. Next, please. Teaching weaving, calculating thread, and the warping thread process has been an inspiration. Next, please. This thread drawing series are constructed to unravel threads from many sewing thread spools. And I'm interested in the beauty of order and chaos. And I see the metaphor of our life through the condition of order and chaos. Next, please. Material also is a really important element. This early work was done in my grad school at Cranbrook Academy of Arts in Michigan. This is a community engagement project in 1997. In my second year, my first year was a really disaster. So I was really happy to start this kind of praying project. I invited a Cranbrook community to participate in lighting individual candles and making community bed. The candle's solid character transformed into the liquefying stage of giving light as a life. Next image, please. Next, please. So I really love the idea of back and forth between the liquefying and the solid, the condition of the candles, what they give to the life. Next, please. My first MFA was book arts and printmaking, and working with the candles and burning mark on paper continues to influence my work. And this is many multi-layers of stacked paper with the wax. Next, please. The details. Next, please. And I carried just so many newsprints. And so it's like aged and somehow kind of sun-dyed, naturally sun-dyed this, papers and become some sort of journey and really making a lot of marks on the surface of papers. Next, please. Next, please. Observing contemporary culture, I have been working with the twist ties to measure commodity, capitalism, and consumerism. And I've been working on large-scale constructions. Next, please. The physical connectivity in the construction from each singular twist ties is a metaphor of our life as a connectivity. Next, please. So this was actually originated at the installation project at the Philadelphia airport in 2016. Next, please. So that project was a 40 feet wide long, really large project, but majority of my large body of work and some small works are currently a traveling exhibition in China. Started with the Jupiter Art Museum in Shenzhen last year. And then my third location next month is at the Shanghai World Expo Museum, which I'm really thrilled about. As Jennifer mentioned, I'm having a current exhibition for reflecting my 15 years. And we can see next image of my current exhibition, Threading Memories, at the Art in Bainbridge, Princeton Art Museum. It's a small 4 rooms, combined. And so there are 20 pieces of a drawing, embroidery, objects, and, many pieces have shown. Next, please. So I hope, if you have a time, the show ends at January. So if you have time, you can come visit. And I feel really bad today that I can't really stay all day because of a conflict with the schedule in Princeton this afternoon. I apologize. Next, please. Next, please. Next, please. Being in the United States, I've been privileged to connect with so many incredible artists, educators, and scholars in the astonishing field of art and design for the past 30 years. I can't say thank you enough for everyone that I connected to. I was so lucky to meet William Daley, who was the first introduction to the clay studio when I first came in 1993. And he was an incredible potter, famous for architectural ceramics. Next, please. Another person that I like to recognize is Elizabeth Stewart, incredible artist an amazing spirit, outstanding narratives on the forms of the ceramics. Unfortunately, she passed away a number of years ago. Is an amazing colleague. Next, please. One of the best thrower in the country, an amazing teacher and a dear friend of Jamaican's work, brings the superior sensitivity in functional ceramics. And I've been really privileged to work with this incredible artist and mentors. Next, please. So actually, these artists and educators have inspired me to accept Jennifer Zwilling's kind invitation to join her to curate this beautiful exhibition of Between Horizons. Next, please. Making a bridge and engagement between two cultures can be challenging, as you all know. But at the same time, this can be an incredible way of expanding ourselves. Next, please. It has been such an honor to study and learn about these outstanding 12 artists and their journey through this amazing exhibition. Thank you so much for this amazing opportunity for everyone, and particularly Jennifer Zwilling, Jennifer Martin, and Clay Studio. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mi-kyung. We really appreciate you making time today. You don't need to apologize. You have a big program later today, so we're really honored that you spent time with us this morning. And we'll all come see your show.
Thank you. Good to see everyone, and good luck for today.
Thanks. Bye. Okay. Well, the power of technology is allowing us to welcome Jae-won Lee, who is currently in Korea. So we're excited to move on to Jae-won's presentation. And let me introduce her first, and then I will pull up her presentation. Hi, Jae-won. I know
Hi.
it's like it's the middle of the night there. Thank you. Let me just fix this. Disappear. Okay. Jae-won Lee earned a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in sculpture from California State University, Long Beach, and a Master of Fine Art in ceramics from New York State College of Ceramics at Alfred University. Lee is currently a professor at Michigan State University, and other institutions where she taught include Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey, Camberwell College of Arts in London, the Chungnam National University, Daejeon, Korea, California State University at Long Beach, and the University of Washington in Seattle. I will let Jae-won tell you herself about her amazing artwork, but I'll also say she's had many solo exhibitions, many awards, including the Fulbright Scholarship Award to China in 2015 and Korea in 2022, and has participated in various artists in residencies, including Beijing University, Central Academy of Fine Arts in Beijing, Tainan National University in Taiwan, Watershed in Maine, and the Clay Studio here. So we consider Jae-won an esteemed alumni. So thank you for coming back. Let me pull up your presentation. Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jae-won. I'm greeting from Songdo, Korea, and it's past midnight here, so I'm quite sleepy and may disappear in the middle of this event. Please excuse me if I have to do so. I will start with inspirational background in slide 1. Growing up in Korea, 3 women had great impact on me for my creative life. My mother, her mother, and her little sister. All these 3 women did the needlework, from practical repair of clothing to making simple garments for me and my siblings. And then also more artistic embroidery work at night. And I was fascinated with the needlework, how the needle brings colorful threads around and above and below the fabric to make trails and reveal this unseen world of flowers to appear. The little pouch on the left side is the work my late grandmother. She passed away before she made the string and tassels. And somehow I have owned this pouch about 4 decades, and I really do cherish her final work. To find equivalent to this type of embroidery needlework, I was looking at Koryo Dynasty Celadon. This is a beautiful book I own. It's about Koryo Celadon ware and Dynasty white moon jars. I learned that Korean potters invented the inlay technique on the clay surface. So I looked at Koryo Celadon ware and Dynasty ware to begin a new body of work when I moved to upstate New York from LA. My father sent 4 children to LA to continue higher education from Seoul. So I was very reluctant to move Korea to go to this foreign land. So I had a very passive attitude when I landed in this country. Instead of these vessel forms, I chose the box format work to convey my internal thoughts. So self-study and exploration of color slip inlay work on porcelain leather hard surface began. Next slide. So this body of work was titled Immigrant Flowers. And I reflect on my Korean American identity, women's position in family and society, by cultural journey, memory, and loss. What I have lost over the years can be my motherland, my mother tongue, familiar culture, or friends who faced untimely death. And I often remember my grandmother, who lived with my family for a few years. While my mother was very busy with her professional career, she was a poet and taught Korean literature. And working mom was very rare in the time of my upbringing. So as a little child, I missed my mother, but my grandmother was around all the time. So my affection to my grandmother actually was bigger than to my mother. Grandma helped with raising 4 children, but every night she did the needlework. Needle and thread have the power of repair, and then also the reconciliation between the past and present for her, perhaps. She was a long-time widow. And then for me, the reconciliation of cultures of East and then West. And then I ever feel homeless once being uprooted from the soil of Korea, where I was born into. Next slide. This is a group view. I specifically recall.
Oh, sorry, Jaewon. I'm gonna change the format for a second because in our room we can't see your face. So I'm gonna just 1 moment. I don't mean to disrupt you, but we are gonna do it because I want everyone in the room to see you.
No, I'm sleepy.
Yeah, no, I want them to see. It's so nice to see your face. Okay. 1 moment. Sorry, everybody. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. For this box format work, I specifically recall the tin or stainless steel lunch boxes. They were wrapped in handkerchief for my school days. And These hankies have small embroidered flowers on the corners, and then my grandmother did it. And the wrapping cloth from Yi Dynasty also was inspiration for me. Wrapping cloth covers and embraces everything. So that concept was another conceptual addition for this body of work. And then there were also books of many sizes that enriched my inner world as a child. And then I chose floral pattern for their generations, regenerations, and repetition, and reminiscence to beautiful memories of the flowering garden and the time spent in my mother's garden in Korea. While I incise and inlay the trails of floral patterns, I go back to the gardens of memory and recent garden of my own in Michigan. Actually, I made a very difficult decision. I left Michigan. Jennifer introduced me as a professor, but I'm now a professor emeritus. So I left Michigan, where I lived 25 years to teach at Michigan State University. Homesickness has been part of my daily life since day one in LA. So I decided to test my life in Korea. So I came to Korea in June, and I'm getting ready to return to the States in January. So anyways, as this slide shows, I prefer niche space, and I don't show this work on the pedestal. And another option would be the shelf. And then instead of showing one piece, I choose to show as a group, but that's one piece I consider. Next slide. Blooming, withering, and other thoughts. This is the title of this work. And title is to be suggestive and elusive. At some point, inlaid floral petals came out to the space to make a 3D work of white and off-white petals. And then I made objects and large-scale installation out of these multiple countless petals. Lately, I added small petal stacks as part of the box format work, as this slide shows. And I want my work to carry poetic nuance, to reflect on literary memory from poems and novels that my mother and aunt introduced in my young age. Next slide. And this is the detail of surface. I'm not interested in decorating, but layering. What is under the surface is the intimate hollow space, which is the space I declare as my own. That's the space that no one can access. To express what's going on in this private space, I do layer with glaze, inlay, and then decal. I like black on black or white on white surface, along with colorful and abundant depiction of plant life. Next slide. This is another view of groups in the niche space. In the end, I seem to celebrate colors and seasons and weather phenomena. Next slide. Before the tile format work in the show, the small scale one, I made this large tile work in Jingzhujin, China, during my first Fulbright scholarship period. This is entitled Blooming Somewhere Else. And I collected all kinds of flowers that I've seen in my lifetime, but I chose to have blossoms instead of flowers and the stems in semi-abstract way. And I also had different types of salad and glazes to quiet down this colorful, expressive work on the surface. And then literally next slide. After this, I narrowed down specific flowers. This is titled Dawn and Dusk. And this conveys the yin and yang philosophy of unifying opposite forces. Literally, I depicted the early in the dawn with hydrangea flowers that I collected in my own garden, and the dusk with imprinted stamping of star flower on the right, very subtle. It's hard to see, but when you move close, you see this black glazes, and then that revealed this imprinted star flowers. Next slide. Currently, I am dealing with a different facet of a cultural racial dilemma. And then it started during the pandemic. Racial discrimination was very evident in Michigan, and that really hurt me. So I decided to live in Korea part-time. And then here I explore inlay work differently. Because I don't have ceramic studio, I do finally needlework. I do some stitch work, and then I do make collage work on paper and fabric. But I also had a chance to work in clay. So I went back to the initial research point for Immigrant Flower series. So I looked at Maypyeong, that's plum vase of Koryo Dynasty, and then moon jars of Yi Dynasty. So I made vessel forms, but with awkward proportions. Instead of floral inlay, I chose to use some text. Next slide. So I put the town I lived, 나의 살던 고향은 서울의 달, the moon of Seoul, and 아리랑, 아라리요, and some other song titles that all Koreans knew. So it's a very emotional period. I don't belong to Korea either, as I've always felt I don't belong to the States. So I am in a limbo, but my home is in the studio. Wherever I can make art, especially clay art, I am quite happy, and then I feel at home. So I end my presentation from Korea. Thank you. Thank you so much for Jennifer and Mi-kyung and the Clay Studio to invite me to be part of this exhibition along with other artists.
Thank you so much, Jaewon, for spending the middle of the night with us. I hope you heard the applause in real life here that you just got for your wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. Okay. Just for a little housekeeping, I want to make sure people understand. We're going to go through, we have 5 more presentations this morning, so we'll do 2 more and then we'll take a little break. Next one is Yunsu Kim. Hi, Yunsu.
Hello, good morning, Jennifer.
Let me just switch 1 moment. Okay. Now I will pull up your presentation. 1 moment, please. There it is. Okay. I think we'll do the same thing. We are gonna, instead of full screen, we will, because we want to see your face. Oh, that was wrong. Oop, okay. And share the screen. This bigger. Okay, Yunsu Kim was born in Haenam, South Korea He is a long-term resident artist. He was a long-term resident artist at the Archie Bray Foundation. So what happens when you work on a show for a long time is that people's bios change. And I didn't ask for updated ones. So Yinsu can tell us where he is now. He earned his Master of Fine Arts degree in ceramics at Lamar Dodd School of Art at the University of Georgia in Athens. And he was recently selected as a recipient of Emerging Artist Award by the National Council on Education for the Ceramic Arts, or NCECA. And there you go. Thank you, Yunsu.
Hello, everyone, and thanks again to having me this wonderful opportunity. And I'm happy to be part of this wonderful exhibition. So today I'm going to sharing my, briefly, sharing my experience from Korea to United States. Okay, let's start it. So please next slide. So my first love is ceramic, actually ongi, which means storage kimchi and soybean paste, hot pepper paste. When I was young, I growing in a small island. I used to living in with ongi ware and tradition of ceramics, but I couldn't expect make ongi itself. But there's a chance to visit ongi studio, and then I make a couple of ongi masters, and then I really want to make it. So that totally changed my life. And this is one of my favorite ongi make. Ongi. Next slide. I still remember my experience living in Ireland, and one day my mom actually, she's trying to cook the soybean paste, and then that's how I used to growing up with the ongi culture. So next slide. And living in United States, depends on where am I. I can access H-Mart, Korean marketplace, but living in Montana, there's no access, Korean marketplace. So that's why I made ongi itself, and then I make kimchi, by myself. So yeah, authentic ongi, but yeah, taste is not bad, but yeah, I like it. So next slide. And I couldn't expect that, spread the Korean culture in the States, because, almost 20 years ago, I couldn't expect that moving in States, but I'm happy to share in my experience, Korean culture and special ongi. Next slide. And when I was in Korea, I feel like, I tried to find out my identity as a Korean, but I didn't realize that how important my core muscle kind of, in terms of athletically, and also, to make my own work, I want to, enhance my skill set. That's why all my career spent a lot of time spent with, mastering the skills, but also I want to get real lesson, life lesson as a full-time artist, especially, working in clay. So this is actually 20 years ago, my, like it looks like kids, but yeah, happy memory. Yeah. Next slide. And this is a piece that I participated this exhibition. I feel like, what's the important lately. So since pandemic hit, I feel like, I try to driven by set the goal, make as much I can, and enjoying my, every single moment. But at the same time, I feel like what's the priority? So I was thinking it's your time and relationship. So I try to make happy relationship with my work and my life as a artist, but as a human being. So I'm thinking about big perspective. That means bring different perspective and different meaning of my life. So this piece got a idea from Munja and with ongi art, and also I tried creating the my storytelling, somehow reflect my emotion and ideas and relationships, and that's why I try to working together. So based on actually Korean tradition, but also bring new perspective, which means contemporary voice my work. So next slide. And this is the video, and I want to sharing the how can make it. So I use actually slab builder, and for sometimes collaboration with coil with together. So I brought the key quill from Korea, and if I could make that speed, it's gonna be good. But yeah, this is the short video clip to show my progressive, and yeah, to build my, expand my size-wise, I think only is the best way to make it. So that's why I've been working on it. Next slide. Yeah. When I just, fit it out whole space, I just bring the idea and, kind of doodling the idea. So next slide. It feels like keeping diary. When I do doodling and I do sketching, there's no limitation, especially 2D dimension. So that's why when I'm working on 3D-dimensional work, I'm thinking about thickness and gravity and binding and some progressive. But when I do doodling and develop my own ideas, and there's no limitation. So I used to actually let it empty and positive and negative space. But since moving state, I try to develop all my aesthetics. That means I just fit it out, crazy drawing, and fit it out how it goes, how they look like. Sometimes good, sometimes I feel like too much, but I only try to one more step. That means it looks like exploring something new. That's why I try one more step, step by step. So next slide. Yeah, you can see how all the way through. This is a moment right after put it out from the killing, and I just wanna collecting that moment and fresh air, and this is the best moment working on, because when I'm open the killing, and sometimes came out looks great, sometimes so sometimes bad, but and you can see the inside. I put some space, and somehow my work actually reflecting my self-portrait somehow, and expanding my relationship. So that's why I try to make happy part, kind of, keeping diary day by day. That's the way to less boring. That's what I'm trying to do. So next slide. And this is the second piece that I participate in that show, the Between Horizon, and actually I got some, I got a born to weakness from the sunlight and sunshine. So that's why I often go outside. I already wearing the sunglasses, so that's why I somehow reflect my own self-portrait. So next slide. And this is one of my favorite technique, the paddling. So when I'm working on paddling, somehow play music, like drum, So I like the rhythm and play something. Whenever I make it the bigger one, I can hear in the bounce back, the inside from outside. So, and also I try to cooperate and interact with the material itself. So paddling actually another my best tool that I make. So it feels like extending my arms and hands. So that's what I try to always carry on, and used to handling that way. So when I make a big pieces, I used to working on this skill. So next slide. Yeah, this is the video clip, I believe so. Yeah. And when I fit it a whole space, if I feel directing the story, how can I organize the stories? For example, I just decide you guys main character. So that's why I pop up some main character. You guys can see facial expressions, some characters going on, and then I'm adding more sub characters. Right after that, I fit it out background and extras. That's what I'm trying to do. That's the way to more interesting, and that's the way to manage the space. So that's been I working on it, and sometimes reflect. If I thinking look up sky and inspiring the aesthetics and ideas, and I reflect, bring some stars and sometimes flowers. Sometimes I draw two lines, and then that means my perspective, what I seeing, what I looking at. So that's why back and forth, and yeah, that's one of my main ideas and progressive. Next slide. I think I still believe, most personal is the most creativity. I inspiring from who is the famous, art director, Martin Scorsese. So when I growing in Korea, I hugely influenced by Korean tradition, Korean, education system, and I really into develop all my skill set, learning from the teachers, a lot of people, and all of myself. And since moving states, I feel like, different perspective, that's I try to blend it together based on Korean tradition, but also try to bring new perspective. That means contemporary voice. That's what I'm trying to do. And I'd love to keep, develop my own work and also more size wise, I want to make a more bigger one, and also driven by more, want to drawing an interesting story. So yeah, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, have a great day, and thanks again, Jennifer and Lee, and among other lot of amazing artists. I'm happy to be part of that. So yeah, thanks again.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Yinsu. We appreciate you joining us, and excited that everyone will get down later who's here in person to see your work in the gallery. Thank you. All right. Now we have Arong Kim, who's going to speak next. Hi, Arong.
Hi. Hi,
Hi.
Jen. Hi, everyone.
Welcome. Arong Kim is a New York-based artist born in South Korea. She earned her BFA in ceramics from Konkuk University in South Korea in 2008 and an MFA from the Rhode Island School of Design in 2013. Her works have been exhibited at Kristen Lorello, New York, the Clay Studio, George Bayless Gallery, New York, Stroll Art Center, Chautauqua Institution, and the Society for Contemporary Craft in Pittsburgh, among other venues. She's completed residencies at Gullegard in Denmark and the Office for the Arts at Harvard University in Boston. From 2014 to 2018, she was an artist in residence at the Clay Studio Philadelphia, where she was also an instructor in ceramic sculpture. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, the genesis of this exhibition was talking to Arong. Kim is the recipient of an Excellence in Clay Award from the Philadelphia Museum of Art Craft Show and received the honor of Best in Show during the 7th Workhouse Clay International in Virginia. Her works are included in the collections of the RISD Museum, Fuller Craft Museum in Massachusetts, and the Betsy Ross House in Philadelphia, among others. We're gonna share a video. And
Yeah.
I want to make sure that it is going to, the sound will be available to the people on Zoom. So I'm just gonna ask for people to bear with me for one moment. That's me, Kyung's.
So
Okay, I'm gonna start playing it. Arong, will you tell me if you can hear it? And if not, I might have to change the setting.
but first, can I explain about the video?
Okay, sure.
I
But
have
then
a
we might have to.
video.
Yeah.
I have a short video to introduce myself and some of my works. I like to play that first, and I'll talk more about the work that I'm showing at the Between Horizon. And I made the video for my solo exhibit that's just opened in October, and I thought it gives a good story about my work. And so I'll just share that here, but please excuse me saying about my show in the video. Thank you.
Yes, and can you tell us where is the show located so everyone can go visit?
Oh, it's at the Hunterdon Museum in Clinton, New Jersey.
Yeah, and it's just about an hour from here, so people can definitely go see.
Yeah, it runs through early January, so it's plenty of time.
Good question. I'll get to you. I will happily share that with you. Absolutely. Okay, first I'm going to share the screen. I'm gonna play it, Arong. If you can't hear it, let me know, and then I might have to fix something.
My work comes from my emotional moments. For me, my work is my diary. that shows emotions that I feel from time to time. And I can call it a diary because every work has a story behind it, and also they are secretly behind the work. I tend to suggest my audience to interpret the meanings with their own stories while seeing the visual language and titles that I provide. My name is Aron Kim. I'm a ceramic artist living in New Jersey and working in New York. I make figurative and narrative sculptures using porcelain clay. My works are mostly hand-built, and I often combine other techniques such as mold casting and throwing. I like using colors in my work, and they are underglazes and glazes. All my works are fired in the kiln at least 5 times each. My interest in colors and patterns come from my biggest inspiration, my grandmother, who was a tailor for a vice president in Korea a long time ago. I grew up with her, and my childhood memories with her became essential to my life. And I try to bring that memory when I'm out of ideas because I believe remembering history and roots is important as an artist. And when I do that, good works come out, like the most authentic version of myself always comes through. I titled this exhibition Over the Paper Plane. It doesn't have a significant meaning. Paper plane is my fiance's favorite cocktail, and I used the name to define my timeline that my works were created. And also I realized most of works in the show are about emotions that came from my relationship. Not just love relationships, but all kinds of relationships around me. I actually want to make more works about relationships because there are many kinds of emotions that exist while we are alive as human beings. Every moment we're awake, we go through a wide range of emotions with others around us, and I hope to portray them. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the exhibition. By the way, she was that she's my girl. Until by the way, she talks to her. It's her eyes. She said, it's okay. I know that I'm super. It's the girl, it's so bad. And she said, it's alright. I never last night I was super. And super it's okay. I got lost in the way that I'm super. Super girls, and when she said it's alright,
So,
Great. That was so cool.
so now I'm showing the images of the work in the show, Ebb and Flow. If you could just, I sent you the presentation yesterday, right?
Yeah. 1 second.
So it's the images along with the description I wrote about the work. It's written more formally, but I'll briefly talk a little bit of the background.
I'm sorry. One second, everybody. I thought I opened everything. Uh-oh. I only have your video.
Oh, I sent it yesterday morning.
Okay, everyone's gonna have to bear with me. Sorry. You're gonna see my email, everybody. Try not to look. Yeah, close your eyes. Um, this is exciting, right? Isn't this so exciting? At least, oh, there it is. That's fine. This is real life. Live performance. There we go. No problem. Blammo.
So Jennifer, if you could just press next every few seconds, it'll be fine.
Okay.
I mean, slideshow.
Yeah, if I do that, then they can't see your face. Does it have to be slideshow? I guess they got to see it. All right. Oh, that's so much nicer. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, if you could wait like a few seconds in the one slide.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So I started to focus seriously on the narrative of my work after I came to the US. It's because I had a language barrier and I felt the difficulty when I made conversations. My desire to express my feelings became bigger, and I naturally started telling my stories through work. When I talk about my work, like even now, it feels like I talk with my friends about my life. And historically, and also for me, human form is the most familiar and easier object to choose for my personal narrative. So this is how I became a ceramic artist who makes figurative and narrative sculptures. When I made this work, Ebb and Flow, I was having an emotional moment thinking about all my personal relationships and people I know. It was the time that I was sending the invitations for my wedding, but it's because the wedding location is Hawaii, so far and not easy to make it there just for the wedding. I had to think who's really close to me, like who I should invite. And I looked through all my relationships one by one and realized not many friends are left for me in Korea. I mean, it's natural. We don't talk much anymore and we don't see each other often and we live different life. And I've been here so long in the US, far from Korea. So I lost many once called my best friends. I'm pretty sure most of artists in this show have the similar experiences. And in the US, for more than 15 years, I dedicated my life to work. And in my earlier life after graduation, the circumstances with visa and stuff made me work harder and maybe it's my culture too, but I thought working hard was the way to live my life meaningfully without guilt. So I couldn't take care of my surroundings. Anyway, it's a life I've chosen to live. So as I thought deeply about relationships around me, I wanted to make something that reflects the bittersweetness as a Korean working and living in the US, and that also engages with the audience within the human relationships. So that's about the work, ebb and flow. Thank you, Jennifer. The video
you.
took the whole presentation.
That was great. Good multimedia presentation. Thank you for bearing with me.
Thank you, Jennifer and Mi-kyung, for making the show successful and for having me today to talk. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
And I hope everyone will go visit. And yeah, I'll follow up with a list of all of the shows that we're talking about and everyone's bio. Yeah. Okay. We are going to switch to in person now. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Okay, I'm excited to introduce Mina Kim. Mina is a transnational artist. She earned her BFA and MFA at Ewha Women's University and is currently completed her MFA at the University of Arkansas. Mina showed her pieces internationally and nationally, including at the Asia Contemporary Art Show in China, the Clay Studio, District Clay in Washington, D.C., Frankfurt, Herbstmesse in Germany, and several others in South Korea, including the Seoul Art Center, Gimhae Clay Art Museum, Gyeonjai Jungsoon Museum, I'm so sorry, as well as completed artist in residence programs at Anderson Ranch and Gimhae Clay Art Museum. She is a recipient of numerous grants and fellowships, including NSECA Multicultural Fellowship, Artist 360. Mina is a panelist at the National Women's Studies Association and AAPI Heritage Discussion Group of Northwest Arkansas. She completed the Mass MoCA Resident Artist Program in the winter of 2021 and is currently a resident here at the Clay Studio. Thank you, Mina. Let's find your presentation. It's here. Okay, we'll do that on the. There we go. There you go. And just make sure that you talk, like, have your mouth close to the microphone.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me well? Nice to meet you all. It's so nice seeing you all and get to present my piece to different faces. Some people I already know, some people are I never met before, but I think it's always nice to start talking about my work and get to know other ideas and thoughts on my stories. So I came to the States in 2018 winter in Arkansas to earn my degree in MFA at the University of Arkansas. And since I was raising in a big city in South Korea, it was a very big change physically and also culturally. And also the scale of the land was different, language was different. And then in my second year, once I got a little bit familiar with the environment that I was residing in, pandemic happened. And in August 2020, I went back to home to visit my family. And I remember there was also the time when BLM movement happened widely in the US. And at that time I was staying at this abandoned hotel for the, there were 2 weeks isolation during the pandemic if you come in from different countries. So I was staying at the Paradise Hotel, which is not running anymore. So that was abandoned building just open for the pandemic situation. And I was sitting there and nearby there was an arbor and it's not working anymore and it felt like holiday. Everyone seems like having a vacation, a weird holiday for 2 weeks. And in the TV, because I had nothing to do, it was nothing to do in the hotel room. It was only like 300 square feet, small room with a huge TV and bed. So I was sitting there watching news of BLM movement, and I started questioning myself as a byproduct of the history, byproduct of the culture, and I see so much hostility and hatred, but also on the other hand, a lot of caring and the consistent try for resistance from labeling each other. So it was a lot of push and pull emotionally, and also questioning if I am only defined as Korean or what, immigrant or Asian. So it got really confused. And I came back to Arkansas because when the BLM movement happened, I couldn't really feel any sense of belonging to that conversation, but I really wanted to be part of it. So there was a deep tension between understanding the culture in America and myself as the contemporary late 20 woman of Korean. So I came back to Arkansas and started working on my thesis piece, which is audience. And I started using my hand and clay as the material. So it's not about my own body, but the body as the medium, my hand as a medium, my thumbprint as the medium that that can communicate more physical connectivity or physical communication in a more primitive way. Because I had no common language that I felt like I could communicate how I feel about what is going on in the world. But I truly wanted to feel the sense of belonging. And I made this piece for whoever feels no sense of belonging or have very weak sense of self in that time. So I made this piece for about a little more than 6 months using my thumbprints. And this was the spatial installation piece that I spread it out on the hallway to the auditorium. And the other side, there was speakers installed so that people can listen to the audience walking on this thumbprint shells made out of porcelain. So they could walk on it. And this sound was live feedback on the other room and further out streamed online so that even in Korean, people could hear the sound if they visit the website that So after that, this is the drawing pieces that I started to making, when I came to Philly and, work on more historical, context. So this is the skies, fractured skies from, different uprisings and protests, wars, and I segmented those skies from the, digital images and started archiving them and, making a replication of those skies. And I choose to work with the skies because it's such a mundane subject matter, that people can, communicate and understand without, explanation. So, recently I've been, collecting the archives of resistances and, the crowds of people on the streets that are gathered like cloud. It's all from the, images from the historical archive, that shows a lot of fears and desire, but also, will to fight against to the common belief. So, I started to digging into the democratization movements, especially, that happened in Gwangju in South Korea, in May. And, since this piece, that I made in Italy, I started to collect more relations, because my parents were living in Gwangju around that time. And I started to pull up more, narrative from my own family to start communicate about, the common emotions of fear and hope. And desire to be understood and desire to be connected and communicated. So this piece is, what you can see from the first floor gallery. It's called Sokuri, the Basket of May 1980. And this piece is the replication of, the basket called Sokuri in certain sizes. And, this object really hit me hard, because this basket was used to carry rice bowls and food to, feed protesters on the streets. They were heading towards the square to, resist, the dictatorship of the military, power at that time. So yeah, it's really, the kind of order of what I've been doing and how all this, thumbprint works has started, since I arrived to the States. And, yeah, I think it really gives me some chance to, see my history and culture from the distance. It was as a stranger or as a traveler, but now as a participant, and, make me feel, think without any the border of understanding of the nations. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nina. Okay, and we'll continue with another in-person presentation. If anyone has questions before we break for lunch, we can, get questions from the audience if there are any. I know how to do this. Okay. You have a question? Okay, can we wait until right before lunch? Okay, great. Okay, you ask it while I'm pulling up Gen 6. Go ahead.
Talking about policing, the audience being specifically, I was just wondering how that seems so different than, making creating objects with clay. How does that come out? It seems so, because it seems like if you made objects and you create experience and you made objects Yeah. I'm trying to understand
The progression.
correct, exactly, yeah.
So I'm just going to repeat for people on Zoom, and I actually think I'm just going to ask, it's a good question, asking about how Mina has transitioned between making audience pieces and sort of installation and then objects, and we're going to hold it until right before lunch so that we are just going to keep moving for now, but will you remember, Mina? Okay, great. Thanks, Nishay. Okay, so Jinsik Yu is a figurative ceramic sculptor and painter from Daejeon, South Korea. He earned his BFA in graphic design from Konkuk University in Seoul, South Korea. He then worked as a graphic designer for 3 years before returning to Konkuk as a graduate student studying ceramics. Yu then moved to the United States in 2017 to pursue his MFA at the New York State College of Ceramics at Alfred University, followed by a year-long residency at the Wellsville Creative Arts Center. He then moved to Brooklyn in 2020 to work for Simone Lee as a fabrication assistant. Some of you may have seen the Venice Biennale with Simone's work. Jinsik worked on that project. He is currently a resident at the Clay Studio in Philadelphia and has exhibited and presented nationally and internationally. His studio practice involves translating photographs into paintings, which are then spliced and reassembled into 3-dimensional forms. And one more note, when we are heading off to lunch, we are invited to go down to the studios and see Jinsik, Mina, and also Sujin's work in progress. Jinsik.
Hi. Oh. Oh, hi, this is Jinshik Yu. I'm from South Korea. Yeah, I moved to United States in 2017 to pursue my MFA. And after graduate, I moved to New York and in 2020, and it was literally in the middle of pandemic. And also the Black Lives Matter protest was happening in all over the New York City then. Yeah. When I was young, there was a university near my house, Chungnam National University. It often saw intense protests organized by students. One afternoon after school, I was playing soccer with friends on the school fields, and we covered our faces with clothes and coughed as tear gas from the university students' protest wafted through the air. My mom believed in a better world to come, and while my father referred to the protesters as troublemakers. Until the 1950s, many Western countries viewed the establishment of democracy in Asia as impossible. In the 1950s, a British media set stating to hope for the birth of democracy in Korea is like hoping for roses to bloom in a garbage can. In 1993, I was 8. One morning, as I was having breakfast, my mom told me that a new president had been elected, and I remember I was eating apple. I was born and grew up in Daejeon. It's 2 hours away from the capital city, Seoul. It's my mom and dad, and they grown up in a right next neighborhood, and their parents promised to let them get married when they was grown up, and they had dated like 2 times, 3 times, and got married. My mom always had really bad depression for her whole life, and she always seemed like the person who gonna leave soon to somewhere. And I was super afraid of that feelings and really uncomfortable. So I took a lot of like after school classes. Then I just don't want it to go home. I'm back home after school. And sometimes I imagine whenever I go home, sometimes I imagine that the empty house or the situation that I need to call to 911 or something. And one of the after school class was running by a young woman painter, and she let me, I mean, be there like as long as I want, as late as I want. And yeah, that's how I started learning like how to paint. In my high school, I realized I have something different with my like boy friends, and I didn't know what that is, but definitely I was sure that like I love K-pop boy bands much more than like girl bands. And I went to college. It's and I met amazing like great friends there, and one of them I told her about my sexuality, and she cursed me and like blocked me immediately, and I was super shocked, and it was my first experience to like blocked by somebody with my identity. And I had a really bad anxiety issue in my whole 20s and as a closet gay and in South Korea. And yeah, I just tried to like be hide. And I thought like, oh, if it's revealed my secret, then I'm gonna die or my mom's gonna leave. Just that feelings. I went to military service. The military service in South Korea is mandatory. And I was chosen as a riot police. And I went to a lot of protest sites, and I was a shield person, and my main role was saving the police line with like 7 kilogram shield. And one day I looked up to the protests, and it was about the human rights, especially the queer community rights. And that experience was really intense to me, like as a police, riot police. And I had to like fight with that who I actually am belonging with. Then first time I thought about like what I'm wearing and what I'm like bringing as a like nation parts, not the people part. I was graphic designer in my whole 20s, and I had a lot of questions, and all my anxiety issue was become a big questions, like different types of questions. And one day quit my job to keep passioning, because I realized I'm really good at like having questions, but instead of making answers. But the graphic design part was always focusing on making best answers. So that's how I started doing my work, not like clients' work. And I just draw. And at first, when I using clay, I just use clay and as my drawing, just one of material. And I never learned how to use clay. So I just, but I love that the material with like, because yeah, when I push, it was pushed. When I like pull, it was pulled. And all of my gestures was there. And I love that. But I had a problem then with the using color. It was really like afraid things for me to use color then. So, and I didn't know what that is. And when I moved to United States in Alfred, I started using a lot of colors at the same time. It's like just that moment. And at some point, I realized probably the color was the very sensitive way to reveal my like personality, my sexuality, like my identity. Probably that's how it was really hard for me to use colors in South Korea, but in this country, like I could, yeah, overcome that feelings. And this summer series speaks to the liberating feelings when I moved to United States. And at that time, as first I realized I have my community, like because I was a closet person in South Korea, it was hard to feel I have a community. But here I met like a lot of great people, especially the LGBTQ plus community, and I realized I'm belonging with like very specific community. That's how I started making the group sculptures, not the solo sculpture. This represents a ritualistic transformation process towards realizing a full self. This depict ritual shifting from past, present, and future, representing the potential for individual growth and change. Recasting the transformation myth of narciss with stands in for myself. I use gendered symbols with military helmet I wear, high heel to complicate representation on the body, while exchanging the traditional narcissus flower for the garlic flower, plants deeply significant to Korean culture and folklore. And yeah, that's how I'm just making a lot of figures, which is queer people. And I hope I can make more like queer sculptures, more than the number of straight people in this world. Thank you.
Okay, I said we were gonna take a break, but we're not. We're just gonna do one more and then it's gonna be lunchtime. Okay, So Ganyang Kim is our next artist. Hi, Ganyang. And let me find your presentation. There it is. Okay. Okay, Ganyang Kim was born and raised in Seoul, South Korea. She earned her Bachelor's of Fine Art in Ceramics from Kookmin University in Korea in 2010, and her MFA from the Ohio State University in 2014, where she developed her studio practice and gained teaching experience. After graduate school, Ganyang completed long-term and short-term residencies at different places, including Lawrence Art Center in Kansas, the Archie Bray Foundation in Montana, and Red Lodge Clay Center in Montana. She has exhibited her work and taught workshops both nationally and internationally, and she recently relocated to Massachusetts and is working as a full-time artist. Hi, Ganyang.
Hi.
Okay, let me share the screen. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, thanks again, Jennifer and Mikyung, for organizing this amazing show. Sadly, I wasn't be able to be there in person because of my family situation, but just being part of this exhibition is I'm so grateful for and very happy. So my name is Ganyang Kim. So I thought the 10 minutes presentation is very short, so I didn't put many slides. So I actually simply put my old work. But I thought that it's very interesting to see my work, very old work that I create in South Korea, because they are very cute. So I created this figure when I was in South Korea. Actually, I have volunteered for disabled children for many, many years since I graduated from high school. So my work in BFA show drew inspiration from the special kids that I work with. So I love their innocent and very curious faces. And it was very hard to read their facial expression, except when they're super happy or very mad. I start to look at their faces very carefully to read their thoughts and feeling. So these figures are my first attempt. Actually, these are my very first figure, like official figure that I created at school. And this is how I got into the figure world. Next slide. Another figure that I made. But I just fell in love with the figure and I had to look at the other figure, ceramic figure in the world. And I started to look at the American artists, ceramic artists. Next slide, please. Also another figure that I created. So I decided to come to the States to study abroad. Next. So this is my very first studio at Ohio State University. And you see the photos that I hang on the wall. So I do have the same inspiration, like photo of these special kids that I'm thinking that I'm going to make more figure work that has same inspiration. But it didn't happen because I feel like a stranger and disabled in this new country as I struggle with second language, and this made me feel isolation and disconnection to the new community. I started through many questions to myself, like who I am and where I'm here, questioning my existence. And this feeling is very weird to me because I work with disabled children for a long time, and I moved to the States and I suddenly feel like I was disabled in a new environment. So I tried to untangle my own emotions, which are seldom clear and often complicated. When I thought about my family, the sadness of missing them and happiness of remembering them occurred at the same time. This combination was reflected in my face, both happy and sad. My face was a little bit contorted between two feelings, with my eyes wet and red nose. The complex states of feeling resulted in physical change, and I attempt to capture the physical manifestation in the fleeting and ambiguous moments. Working alone with clay allowed me to absorb my own emotion and thoughts that came to my mind. The slow process of building and refining the clay figure by hand as a way of recollecting and assembling moments and feelings. These ideas are still grounding for my present work. Next. So just jump to the figure that I specifically created for this exhibition. So this is called Two Faces. This work illustrated pervasive feeling of being in between, because now I'm living in, I believe in the States for many, many years. I do have a family, I do have 2 kids, and I have a home just selling in Massachusetts. But I still feel I'm a foreigner in the United States. So I do not see that my home is complete home, also because I don't have my family support, because my all family live in South Korea. And I feel like I have family here, but I don't have my family, my own family, my parents here. So I still feel like the home in South Korea is my home. So we try to visit them every summer, but at the same time, the Korea no longer truly feel like home anymore, because we visit them and we don't have the permanent place to stay. And I feel like a truly visitor. We experience their support and we're so happy to see them. So I am like in between 2 homes, like my home country home and also my chosen home. And also at the same time, I struggle with being a mom and artist. So I struggle with losing my identity as an artist, because I'm a mom and spending a lot of time for my kids. And also, so I'm just in between these 2 identities. And also I've been experiencing 2 different cultures as I raise my kids. So just a simple example, there is like a Korean way of raising kids, like even like make baby food, like there's a Korean way to like feed your baby, and there's an American way. So there's always like in between like 2 different things. And also the interesting thing is my daughter is 4 years old, and then as she's getting older, I see that the same struggle involving her as well. And she said like, oh, I want to see my grandma. I want to live in South Korea because I want to see my grandma often. And sometimes she said like, I want to only speak Korean because I like to speak Korean, things like that. And also there is like my worry that when I see her, oh, is she get along well with other kids, because like she's not speaking English very well, or should I speak English at home so that she can be more fluent in English, or should I keep Korean at home so that she can keep her my mother language? So there is always like 2 things, and then I feel like I'm always in between. And this figure is talking about this idea. Next. And then I like to decorate my work with the flowers, and I create flowers using cake decoration tool. So I pipe each clay flower and arrange them onto the figure. Next, please. So I create the form first and just making space for the flowers and build all the figure at first. And when it become leather heart, it's like not hard leather heart, but it's like perfect stage of leather heart. And that's where I put my figures on. So next, please. So these are the detailed photo of the flowers. So I use flowers as a metaphor. It's actually holding different meanings. So I do like to talk about the ceramic flower. So the ceramic flowers are very soft. When I pipe, it's like a very soft stage. It's like a very soft sleep. But when ceramic flowers are dry, it's become very hard. And even it's fired through the high temperature, it becomes extremely permanent and very sharp. and also resistant to heat and moisture. However, these flowers are extremely fragile at the same time because they are easily break when it is mishandled. And another interesting part is, but it breaks, but it doesn't dissolve in the water. So shard of a clay flower don't break down and just remains. It could remain for thousands of years in the ground until we found. So these kinds of like interesting aspects of clay, like a fired clay flowers. I use clay flower as a metaphor of just different meaning of just this. Could be very could be suffering or fragility or ambiguity or multi-layered, things like that. So I'd like to use flower onto my figure. Next, please. So another piece in the show is called Crown. So the figure is having the flower crown on the top. I was thinking crown as a symbol of honor and authority, but at the same time, I grew up in a Christian family. I thought about the crown of thorn in Christianity, and it's a symbol of suffering. And also, I had inspiration from my kids. So the little figure at the front actually, so I do not intend to create figure that's telling just one story or one singular moment, but I do have like a specific inspiration that I make my figure start with. That little gesture is actually my little boy. He's actually turning 1 tomorrow, but when he scratches his ear, that means he's tired. So it's a little gesture, and I see his needs, and I see my kids' needs, but sometimes I just respond it right away, just very responsive like a mom. But sometimes I want to ignore it because like, oh, I'm tired. It's like I want to ignore the signs just for a moment. So I was thinking that as a mom, there is like in just like a different feeling of in between, just very like responsible, or but sometimes just like ignorance and neglection or things like that. And also there are something kind of like these things in our life, not in motherhood. There is like something that you can something that you can avoid it. It's like for example, you grow in a family that you do not choose it, but you live in your family, you have to face with them, but you can get rid of them, but sometimes you want to ignore them. So just like things like, sorry, it's not really clear, but just things like that, you can experience this thing in your life. So just trying to talking about this little like different aspect of humanity that is like very subtle and also spiritual, and and next please. And also the surface, I do have many like color shifting and different colors dripping. And I like to use very subtle drawings on the surface and talking about different meanings. And just for example, this flower is a peony. It's like the drawing is very subtle. The meaning of peony is happiness, marriage, or things like that. But also the other part of figure is talking about the suffering or pain, or so my figure is holding very contrast meaning, different meaning. The last one, please. So I'd like to introduce my family, my biggest inspiration for now, my husband and my little boy, Elliot, and my 4-year-old girl, Daniela. So I'd like to thank you all my family, because I couldn't make this happen without my family support. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gyeongyang.
currently teaching at the California Institute of Arts. I wrote about her work when she was participating in the Digital Media Art Festival in Denver, Colorado 2 years ago. And I also wrote about people of color artists. One of them is Fred Wilson. And I do some translation work. Most recently last year, I translated some of the text work, text for Ian Chang, Chinese American artist based in New York, when he had a show at Liam Simpson Museum of Art in Seoul. And also this is Youngjun Kwak. They are musician artists based in Los Angeles, and I translated their text when they had a show at Arco Art Center in Seoul last year. And currently I'm writing an exhibition review about the Korean Contemporary Art exhibition at PMA for the Korean newspaper, the Korea Economy Daily. So if you know how to read Korean, please feel free to check it out. And I wanted to take this opportunity to put some word out about my upcoming projects. Next month, I'll be participating in a panel discussion at the University of the Arts.
Wish Chung, I think this is, and we used to have her work years ago.
This workshop, right? She did.
Yeah, but probably not now.
Ruth and Rick, can you guys make sure that you stay muted? Thank
Oh,
you.
sure.
Thanks.
Multitasking is key. Yeah, I love multitasking. Yeah, also AI will be curating a music of one of PMA's Free Friday night on January 26th. We're inviting Asian American musicians, DJ, and I'll be do a pop-up gallery show during the night. And at AI, our very first show for the next year will be a solo show of Victoria Shen. Victoria Shen, she's a Chinese American musician and sound artist. And I recently got a grant from All Foundation in New York. All Foundation is founded by a Korean woman almost 20 years ago, and they have a gallery in Harlem. So I'll be curating a show at their gallery next spring. If you are around, please come check it out. Thank you. This is all I prepared today, but feel free to come by AI. And yeah, Eiko's Otake show will be closing next Saturday. So you still have one more week to catch. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Joyce. And you know, it's like we have an extra just excitement to make it more challenging. It's like a gift of challenging talking, since there's like always like all these obstacles that we have to go through. It's fine. We're so happy everyone's joining us. So that's great. We were excited for Joyce to join us so that we could hear from so many institutions around the city and the region that are, you know, have strong connections to Korean culture. And I know that there is an event today, right, at AEI a little bit later. So that's another exciting thing. After you've been here all day, then you can just go over to AEI and see more artwork. Okay. We are excited now to have Sujin Choi joining us. There she is. And there we go. Oh boy. Okay, I'm just about to share the screen. And Sujin, one moment.
Okay.
Sujin Choi was born and raised in South Korea and has worked as an artist in the United States since 2010. Sujin earned her BFA at Virginia Commonwealth University in 2015 with a double major in craft and material studies and painting and printmaking. She continued her studies at Alfred University to pursue an MFA in ceramics in 2018. After graduate school, she was a resident at the Northern Clay Center in Minneapolis with funding by the Anonymous Artist Studio Fellowship, a long-term resident at the Red Lodge Clay Center in Red Lodge, Montana. She was a long-term resident at the Archie Ray Foundation in Helena and is now a resident artist at the Clay Studio. Her work transforms objects, figures, and spaces into visual language by repeatedly layering flat and spatial surfaces.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Sorry, I couldn't be there today, and sorry about if you guys hear the noise here. But I'm glad to be a part of this growth show Between Horizon, and I'm really excited to share about me and my work today. So I'm from, next slide. I'm from South Korea, and I came to United States in 2010. And learning English language was a fresh start, which this immersion allowed me to directly observe and engage with the language. Next slide. I started with painting, where I experimented with collage methods to narrate my story. It felt like embarking on an exploration, closely observing my surrounding and infusing my emotion into the surface. As I delve into the world of collage and embrace a representational storytelling approach, the intricate dance between image and language became a focal point of my contemplation. Next slide. In my senior year in undergrad, I took an intro ceramic class as an elective class. And this is my first ceramic sculpture that I still have in my Instagram that show how my work changed and also kind of like remind me what I felt when I make a ceramic first time. I fell in love with this material, and I felt like I finally found my material. The initial charm that I found in ceramic was how they possessed the quality of being an object. It was as if the object in my mind were brought to life in physical form. Next slide. An object with the weight, texture, and form provides a profound connection to the space, offering a captivating physicality that has a substantial and tangible presence. Next slide. This interplay between the physicality of ceramic and the conceptual space they inhabit forms the basis of my exploration. The painting provides a visual landscape, a window into an image space, while the ceramic objects inhabit this space, creating a tangible connection with the viewer. Next slide. So I started and expanded this idea as working on installation, carefully orchestrating a distinct pathway through the deliberate arrangement. My initial fascination was with how installation can present varying perspectives based on the viewer position. Next slide. So when my focus shifts from abstract form to representational image on ceramic, I delve into the language of human expression, experimenting with angles, surface, and forms to convey engaging and distinct concept. Next slide. I discovered the existence of in-between moments that exist within the vast spectrum of human emotion. It became evident that many emotions reside in a gray area, arising from unresolved and confusing situations that stem from both external and internal matter. Next slide. So my life is an ongoing journey of navigating the space between ceramic and painting, the realms of 2 and 3 dimensions, and the two worlds of Korea and the United States. This constant state of being in between serves as the most profound wellspring of inspiration for my work. It's like walking a tightrope, the delicate balance I maintain as I exist in this in-between space, a continuous dance of understanding and misunderstanding, a dynamic state of flux that I've come to embrace and embody. Next slide. So having spent my formative years in South Korea and my adulthood in the United States, I have continuously grappled with the challenge of effectively expressing something, especially in my emotion in both language. It often feels as though I exist as a foreigner in both countries, navigating the complexity of language and culture. This reflection led me to contemplate the intricacy of empathy, pondering how individuals from diverse culture and background can connect and understand each other, transcending linguistic and cultural boundaries. Next slide. So my sculpture delved into the external dynamic of interaction between two individuals, exploring the intricacy and subtleties inherent in these connections. Alternatively, they may portray the dual perspective of a single individual, embodying this sense of duality through subtle gesture and title. This approach invites viewers to actively participate in my work, encouraging them to immerse themselves in the role of one, the other, or even both figures. This engagement fosters a profound connection to the work. Next slide. And thank you again for, I'm really glad to be part of this show. And if you have any questions, please visit my studio next time. Sorry, I couldn't be there again.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Sujin.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have Joon-hee Kim. Oh, it's right here. Okay, great. And Joon-hee is an award-winning ceramicist who was an art director in her native South Korea. She came to Canada and took patisserie studies at Le Cordon Bleu in Ottawa, but she switched careers, graduating from Sheridan College, where it led to her becoming intrigued with ceramics. As the Cecil Lewis Sculpture Scholarship recipient, she completed Masters in Fine Art at Chelsea College of Arts in UK. Her compelling ceramic work has been exhibited in the US, UK, and a solo exhibition at the Clay and Glass Gallery in Canada. She examines her heritage within the lens of multiple influences as she travels to both national and international artistic residencies. She was also the recipient of many awards, including the Canada Council for the Arts Grants and Ontario Arts Council Grants, the Toronto Outdoor Arts Fair's Best of Ceramics, as well as being awarded the prestigious Winifred Shantz National Award for an Exceptional Emerging Ceramic Artist. Welcome, Joon-hee. And okay. Okay. When I go down, just yeah, I think I'm not sure. You can use that guy too. I'm not sure. Around needed. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, good. Okay.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Joon-hee. Nice to meet you. So I'm so happy to be here, to be able to be here in person, actually, today with you, speaking on my participation in Between Horizons, along with several other amazingly talented artists. I just wanted to give my utmost gratitude to Jennifer and Mi-kyung, the curator of this show. And it is such an honor to be here and talk to you. So I was born and raised in Seoul, Korea, eventually immigrating to Canada many years ago, where I still currently reside. However, this before I had a variety of professions with different background, including starting my career as a graphic designer. Then I've been working as an art director for many years in Korea. After immigration, I pursued a desire of finding a new path and career. So I studied pastry and become a pastry chef. But however, long story short, now I began and seek out the contemporary passion of ceramic art here and have stayed on that path ever since. So
Have your mouth a little closer.
can you guys hear? So
Yeah, use this speaker.
okay. So my work captures humanity in its true form and how they become the reconstruction of new identity in the world. Human body is seen as a vessel that holds language, lineage, and memories and archive. In my career, I have been gifted many different opportunities to travel to the variety of residencies around the world. So as part of my regular residency routine, each time I contribute a series of work titled Build My Life. This is the work that is exhibited downstairs. And then there are like so many other pieces in series. So during my travels to the residency, I met diverse range of people at different locations, and I build those pieces of cultural inspirations and influence into a form of a totem. So composing elements are different depending on where I am and who I meet. Sometimes elements can be a coin that represent the country where I visited. Sometimes it could be a button or just the recycled containers or the motif from the historical buildings. And most importantly, touching local clay is very meaningful to me. So that's the way I building the form of a totem here. So the memories and stories of the residencies are naturally contained in the piece, and it offers me the sanctuary to explore artistic creative pursuit. And these are the details of the part. So this sacred practice is more than just an artistic expression, but it contains the trace and memories of a specific era representing the real life tapestry of human existence. The process of constructing a totem is an embodiment of human connection and introspection. So living as an immigrant brought me various background and experiences. With myself in particular, I'm Korean, I'm an artist, also a chef, mother, and wife. And I think about this existence as one person with the abundance of these various roles. All these diverse parts are important factors that shape my identity. Into each work that I do, at each time, I want to express myself and those things more. And while the other times, I aim to bring the cultural context to a specific era and captivate my interest. So just want to show you the next slide. So sometimes I building a form with the Western, like a blended Western form with the Eastern pattern. I just want to play with the dual identity that I embrace from the experiences and the mixed culture. So yeah, I think it's still me having a dual. So this is the shot from the ceramic show at the Gardner Museum, Ontario. And as you can see, all of these are my work, but if you can see that I have a piece that have like Korean patterns and Western shape of the form that combined together, and also only showing the traditional form of the like a figurative works, but now it's just developing and having like more complex and diverse images that I have so that I can have like more explanation about the human relationships and complexity in it. So last year I was a summer residency artist at the Archway, and then I was seeking a new direction of my work and starting new journey of the artistic practice. So this type of work is a contemporary object record carrying a new narrates and measures of a personal moment and the collective experience the self. And it becomes a vessel for memories, an intricate collage, transfusing life into an inanimate object. So each face tells its own tale, etched with the laughter, joy, pain, and wisdom. So together they become a guardian's witness to the transformative power of art and documenting the vitality of human existence. And it represents the interplay between past and present and forging connections between generations and cultures. And it embarks on a profound journey of self-discovering and leaving behind an unforgettable mark that bears witness to our unique narrates and our collective human experiences. So when I first heard about this exhibition Between Horizons and the meaning that held behind, I felt an instantaneous connection between my own stories and how the universal experience of finding yourself on a journey between places is. Because of that vivid inspiration, I worked intricately ever since this past spring, bring to you the piece for the exhibition, Something Divine. So I start to build this piece at the Sheridan College where I'm teaching at, and using a template to measure the size and scale first, and then build the main body first and adds elements later. So those faces and emotions, sometimes carving out and adding some more clays onto it. And also the hands part, it's like a sign language that gives you message, but also it's a part of body language that we can communicate with. So those are ready, and then I just added to the main bodies. So the back side of the piece, and then the side. And I hope through this piece, it reflects the unique ways of representing who I am, and with hope with that big glasses there, and view the world in diverse perspective while discovering the mystery of this world. So this is the piece. You can see the downstairs from today. And then thank you very much. I was so nervous reading this. I should, rather take. Oh my God. Thank you.
Thank you, Junie. No need to be nervous. That was excellent. Thank you. Okay. And next we have Kunming Park. Hi, Kunming.
Hello.
And
Jennifer, it would be easier if I have access to share my own.
you want to
screen
do that? Sure.
Fine.
Yeah.
That way I don't have to say, next slide, please.
Sounds good to me. Okay, there you go.
Let's see. Do everybody see my slides okay?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks everyone. My name is Kyungmin Park. Do you hear me okay too?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, I want to start my presentation to thank to Jennifer Dwelling and also Mi-kyung Lee to create this amazing exhibition, and also congrat all my fellow Korean artists who's part of this exhibition. I also want to acknowledge all the other Korean and Korean American artists who worked very hard in the United States. And I've been hearing all their successful stories and make me very proud. And more likely, it's kind of blow my mind that past years and this year especially, that so many big states in the United States are highlighting my culture and art and heritage as heritage. So that makes me very proud. I just wanted to say it out loud. Jennifer, you looked very concerned right there.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to, well, I realized I forgot to introduce you.
Oh, okay. You want to do it?
Yeah, sorry. And I was
So-
trying to make you look bigger on our screen, which I did. I forgot that you could see my face. Okay. Gyeongbang Park is a figurative ceramic sculpture drawing inspiration from childlike perspectives. Originally from South Korea, Gyeongbang earned her MFA in ceramics from the University of Georgia in 2012 and her BFA from the New York State College of Ceramics at Alfred University in 2008. Currently, Gyeongbang is an assistant professor of 3D studio art at Endicott College in Beverly, Massachusetts. She was a long-term resident at the Archie Bray Foundation in Helena, Montana, where she earned the 2014-15 Matsutani Fellowship and the 2015-16 Wingate Fellowship. Park has won multiple awards, including the 2016 Emerging Artist of the Year Award for the National Council on Education in the Ceramic Arts and the 2015 Emerging Artist Award by Ceramics Monthly. Gyeongbang was invited as a 2017 guest artist at the Jingdezhen International Studio in Taoxishuan Ceramic Park, China, and AIR Belarus in France in 2011 and 2022. She also participated in a short-term residency program 2018 at Red Lodge Clay Center, Montana, and 2016 at Watershed Ceramic for Center for Ceramic Arts in Maine. Thank you. Excuse me for that. Take it away, Gyeongbang.
Everything's great. Yeah, I mean, where was I? Yeah, so I was so proud of hearing how my culture and art and fellow artists is basically blooming everywhere in the United States. So congrats to everyone. I was very happy to see the exhibition in person last month. And also hearing today, we really carried very similar like stories and narrative as an artist and as in Korean and as a Korean American artist living in US. So here is my first slide. This is me at my first birthday celebration. Just like Konyok said, her son will have his first birthday celebration tomorrow. So this would be what it looks like normally. Yes, as other Korean artist says, I was born in South Korea, grew up in South Korea until I was 20 years old. That being said, that I got most of my art education from South Korea. I went to art high school and then I went to college. And then my first year in college in South Korea, I met my first American professor, Kelly Buxton. And then she literally opened my eyes to pursue my curiosity and also my thirst to learn more about our education system in America. So I decided to come to America. So when I was invited for this exhibition Between Horizons by Jennifer and Mi-kyung, they told me about the title of the exhibition, which was Between Horizons. This was perfect to actually talk about between the two different cultures as a Korean and as a legal resident who lives in America. So I came up with this picture when I was my first celebration as a Korean. And then I started to like begin a little research of who I am, what my route was. So I knew the vaguely like what kind of sculpture I wanted to create it for this exhibition. And I knew they invited us like earlier in this year. And all I can think of, we've been brainstorming for a while. And then in my head, I knew that I want to create a figure that most looks like Korean. So that I have to put hanbok, which is our traditional dress, to this figurine. So I did some research and found the most primary colored costume. And it's because I came to America January 2006 to upstate New York. It was freezing cold. There was a lot of snow. I also researched some images of the winter style hanbok. So during the winter season, there's a special hat that children will wear, and then this amazing, beautiful, like a vest, a winter vest that they put on top of the dress that I just showed you. So as I said, like we had a lot of time to brainstorm about what this work would be. And then I get a chance to create little maquette while I was teaching a workshop at Airmont last July. Still, my idea was like very vague, but once you see little like sketch with clay itself, you're like, oh, maybe this can come in like real life. So that's how we do sketch in 3D. Let's see. And then you're gonna start creating the sculpture. You had it in your head. This is, I would say, like 1/3 done stage. So I use Laguna B-Mix for this sculpture. A lot of people ask me like, why do you decided to become a clay artist? I think clay has the most tactile and cheapest material that you can use to tell a story. But I really love the quality of clay that I can have that almost feels like a human flesh to it. So after I created the main figure and little dog as my guardian, I also added this element of the luggage. My dad often say the day that I left the country, he said you had the biggest smile on your face and you had a too big luggage, and then didn't even give me a hug, and then you just took off. That was it. That was 18 years ago. So I wanted to make this another element that goes with the sculpture, which was luggage full of who I am. As Jinshik said earlier in his presentation, he also mentioned that like I didn't know how to use color yet. That's very true. It's very scary, as you all know. Opening the kiln can be nerve-wracking. Sometimes it's just like a Christmas present. You know, you open one, it can be socks. You know, you open one, it can be an amazing present. It took a while for me to get used to using colors and, you know, try many tries and errors to get to the right color that I wanted to show on my work. But growing up in Korea, you are going to be surrounded by a lot of primary colors. A lot of traditional buildings and temples are decorated with a lot of bright primary colors. So it was very natural for me to use these bright colors onto my work. As you see here, like I will use a lot of reference photos, each and every little element to go onto this sculpture. And I spent good amount of time to do underglaze and glaze decoration. It takes a long time. You probably all know, most of you sitting and listening today. This is how it looked from the first and second firing. As I said, I used a lot of underglazes and glazes decoration. And this time I did not get the socks out of my kiln. I was pretty happy about how the red turned out and the green. I haven't used this green, so I didn't know what I'm going to get into, but I am pretty happy about how it turned out. And as you see on the right, that's the reference photo that I used. There's a lot of traditional patterns that goes onto our hanbok. our traditional dress. And I kind of wanted to mimic one of those patterns to my work as well. So I used this time to use gold luster and then decals, and I print out some lettering. So if you go out and check on my work on the gallery later on this afternoon, you can start with a K, and then it will say Korean America. And then of course we're speaking about America. You cannot talk about America without stars. So I put some stars on. And also for the winter theme, I put little snowflakes there. So this was the final look, and you can also check at the first floor in the gallery area. So let's see. So I want to talk about a little bit more about those elements that I put it into my luggage. So I don't know if you can see but that is norige. I don't want to read off, but it is just like fashion accessory. And then doing all the research, I also learned, and I didn't never know that this was also meant for good luck charm and eternal youth and wealth. I didn't know about this part, but you know, here we go. And then of course, inside of the luggage, I have to create porcelain, white porcelain, right? That talks about my culture a lot. So I created the 백자, we call it. And of course, we cannot speak Korean without saying kimchi. So we put kimchi, and I also put some paintbrushes that represent who I am. And there is also our national flower, mugunha, on the other side, to give a little like detail work. I also put little tag on it, say ICN, which is Incheon Airport, which is international airport that we use in Korea, to JFK, where I landed back in 2006. So there's that little detail. I really try my best to carry that little detail to this sculpture. So that's what it is. Okay. So this is a description about the work. I'm just going to read off very fast. Most of you heard about my work, but here we go. On January 6, 2006, with two big cases, I came to America. I was 20 years old. This journey started from my curiosity and seeking better art education opportunities as a young artist. For the past 18 years, I have lived in 6 different states and moved 15 times in the United States. Living far from my birth country and family was definitely challenging. Learning a new language and adjusting myself to fit into a new culture was exciting, but at the same time, very difficult. But I have no regrets. Starting a new chapter of my 20s in a new country was one of my best decisions. Without it, I would not have grown into the same person I am now. This work depicts my own image. The first day I came to America wearing our traditional dress, hanbok, and dragging a luggage full of most Korean traits I carried. As I said, Korean traditional pottery, paintbrushes, kimchi, and our national flower, mugunha. Next to me, my guardian dog, AJ, is following me. So that's the little script about my work. And then next to this sculpture, there's another sculpture that you will see it. It is titled, Hello, my name is Gina Park. So I'm going to read through the description, because I don't know how many of you are actually going to stood in front of a little plaque and then read all our description, but that always helped to understand the work. Anyway, before Hangul, the Korean native writing system was invented. Koreans were using Chinese characters. Chinese characters still exist in our culture, which is most apparent in naming. When parents named their baby, they picked Chinese characters to provide an underlining meaning to those names. For example, my name is Kyungmin Park, which means strong water drop. A more lengthy explanation is that water can cut through even rocks because of its patience and persistent. Water creates a new path over time to get where it needs to go. It's a great name, but I do not really like my name much. Korean names are hard to pronounce to some non-Koreans. Therefore, we Koreans are sometimes asked to or decide to have a westernized version of our original Korean name. When I moved to the US, I was also asked if I had an American name. After a second of confusing moment, I remember my Catholic confirmation name is Gina. It is the most westernized name I could think of. Since then, Gina Park has become my American name. I have been using my easier to pronounce name when I did not want to spell my lengthy name at the coffee shop, but that's about it. So don't call me Gina Park. I will not respond to you, but sometime I have to use that. And I guarantee you a lot of Koreans and Korean Americans have their second names or, asked to have different names. So that sculpture was about that, a little bit of like a pinch of there, but here I am. That was my presentation. If anybody has a question, please let me know. And this is my website and Instagram address to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kyunming. That was wonderful. Okay, now we are going to take a short break. So we have 10 minutes. It's 2:25. I'm gonna leave the Zoom on. If anyone in Zoom land has a question, you're welcome to put it in the chat so we can address it a little bit later. Those of you here in person, go ahead and take a little break.
Hey, Jennifer.
Hi, Senku.
How are you?
Are you gonna share your own thing or do you want to send me something?
It's up to you. I sent it this morning, I think.
Oh, did
but,
you?
it doesn't really matter. I can show from my computer. I mean, I have a really short, you said 10, so I got, just 10 images. So I can show from my,
Okay, that's great.
okay,
You're at what time are you?
3:15, something like that.
3:15. Yeah,
Yeah.
3:15. Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Hi, everyone in Zoom. We are just getting ourselves back in order over here. Thank you for your patience. Okay, we now have Sukjin Choi is going to join us. Born in South Korea, Sukjin Choi earned BFA and MFA degrees in ceramics from Ewha Women's University in Seoul. Her career developed as a solo artist in Seoul and as an art educator at universities in Korea. Also, she earned an MFA degree from Cranbrook Academy of Art in Michigan. She is currently a professor of art at James Madison University in Harrisonburg, Virginia, and active in regional and international group exhibitions, the Cub Creek Foundation, and the Harrisonburg Art Community. Choi has had 29 solo exhibitions in the US, Europe, Australia, Canada, and South Korea. She has also shown in group exhibitions at the Victoria and Albert Museum in England, Museo Nacional de la Cerámica y Artes Suntuarias González Martí in Spain, among other galleries and museums in Europe, Australia, Asia, and North America. I am very honored to welcome Sukjin today, and we'll share the screen.
Hello.
Welcome.
Okay.
Welcome, Sukjin.
Hello, my name is Sukjin Choi. Next, please. How can I tell you in just a few minutes something coherent about my work? It is not easy. I was born and first trained in Korea. My ceramic art ranges from room-size mixed media installations to mixed media sculpture to individual ongi jars created using traditional Korean technique on a kick wheel. Next, please. What I have learned and meditated on has been so various across the years. Next, please. My homeland is an ancient and still vibrant, powerful influence on clay art. In clay, I honor each life in nature through the material of our origin and our destination. My large-scale installations began with my long ago reaction to a mural in the ancient tomb of king from the Goguryeo kingdom in the 5th century CE. Next, please. One day, looking back over my free sketches or scribbles in my sketchbook, I instantly felt direct kinship with my ancestors. Next, please. I was influenced by the mural drawing of the 5th century Goguryeo kingdom when I made this wall installation, a three-dimensional ceramic sculpture. Next, please. Fermented food like kimchi, soy sauce, soybean paste are typical in the Korean diet. Next, please. Ongis, the storage jars into which we put these foods, have accompanied our daily life since ancient times. Next, please. The ongi jars is a natural tap route for me, a way to reconnect no matter where I am. Next. My interest has been how I use this legacy of ongi construction to convey my own voice. Next. In this work, I drew Korean traditional pattern inside of the ongi jars. In short, it signifies everywhere I go, I bring my Korean identity inside of me unconsciously. No matter where in the world I am, and no matter what I am looking at, I realize that I experience it through the idea that helped to form me in Korea. Next, please. Working as an artist in residence in various places, here in America and abroad, is a great influence on my artistic journey. A recurring theme in my sculpture is wheels. Next, please. A wheel left in a Richmond rubbish bin spoke to me of the tides of time, cycling in and out, grinding the world down while shaping a new world. When I went to the Netherlands, I saw bicycle parking. It was a parking designated with a bicycle. I thought the many bicycle tires hold many memories, story at the various places. Next, please. The wheel is restless, always rotating in time and space, always traveling heavy with imagination and memory. And our small, brief role in life is like that, unstable yet certain, mesmerized, focused yet wind-blown. In the Netherlands and at my studio at JMU, I set to work on hundreds of hand-built and cast pieces. Entropy and consciousness tell us about the arrow of time. The future is unformed, chaotic. Next, please. The past is done, shaped, finished, and our small, brief role in it sits in memory. But something about the past persists forward. In Italy, I used very dark clay and porcelain slip. I simplified wheel shape and placed them on the floor one by one. In Holland, in France, in Italy, and in Australia, and so on. The force of new people and new environments throws open my horizons. Next, please. My studio practice also has me continually learning the range of clay art from materials and techniques used elsewhere in the world, including in the historical past to the latest way. Technology comes in the studio door. I created the hybrid wheel at the EKWC in Netherlands. A hybrid wheel embedded with pebbles, with a rounded edge on one side and an angular edge on the other side. Next, please. The press molds for these clay body wheels were in styrofoam and designed in the Rhino program and executed on a computer numerical control, like CNC milling machine. Next, please. In this work, one wheel is a round shape and the other wheel is an angular shape. I realized that I bring my Korean perspective, as if the two wheels should coordinate in their movement, but cannot. I find myself always back and forth, America and Korea. Next, please. Conflicting and harmonizing. I felt like I cannot become a Native American, but neither can I regain my original Korean identity. Next, please. We are all travelers through time and space. This is a familiar truth, I know. The path of life, the wheel of fate, the water flowing under the bridge. Change is everywhere and always. While we travel in the meandering, intermingling of who we are and where we are, we also change. Next, please. I love tools. Whenever I use a tool in my studio, I feel it is an extension of my hand. Next. When I saw aged tools lying down on a table at the flea market in the Adirondack Park in New York, I felt their incessant connection with my hands. Gears, propellers, and motors. Car part and clock part were fascinating. Next, please. The rusted metal skin of the tools spoke to me of each tool's use over and again. Through the passage of time, just like my ancestors handed life down to us, generation by generation. I thought that their incessant service to the world deserved a good life on a pedestal at a gallery. Next, please. In my artistic practice, I must work on my own powers of openness and the wisdom and humility that openness brings. This means also being open to influences that I cannot predict and cannot easily assimilate and categorize. My perceptions sharpen and I evolve forward. That's my work too. Next, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sukjin. Okay. Now we have Yaram. Hi, Yaram. Okay. Yaram Lee was born in Seoul, Korea. The way she interacts with her works is directly connected to her background in ceramics. She earned her BFA in ceramics from Korea National University of Cultural Heritage. And then in 2014, she continued her studies at the California State University at Long Beach as a post-baccalaureate in ceramic arts. She earned her MFA in ceramic art at Alfred University in 2017. She has shown in exhibitions nationally and internationally. Recent shows include the Korean International Ceramic Biennale 2019 and Dopamine Dressing at the University of Michigan Art Museum. Recently, a long-term resident at the Archie Gray Foundation in Helen, Montana. And before that, a resident at the Clay Studio here in Philadelphia. And she now lives in the Joshua Tree area of California. Welcome back home, Yaram. Welcome back to the Clay Studio.
Thank you. Thank you for introduction, Jennifer. Hi, my name is Yerim Lee. I'm happy to talk about my work today. Let's see there's my slide. Yeah. Before I begin, I want to thank Clay Studio for making this show happen. In particular, thanks for show curator, Jennifer and Mikyung, whose vision make this show happen. I was a resident artist at the Clay Studio 2018 to 2020. The work I'm exhibiting at the exhibition was produced those time. I do a wide variety of work, but today I will focus mainly on the work I represent in the show and some of my connection to my Korean background. I make abstract sculpture, installation, and ceramic furniture. I cannot separate my personal history from my work, so I will start with my history. Next slide, please. Clay is part of my personal and cultural history. As you can see from the photo, my father is a ceramic artist. I was surrounded by clay and ceramics since I was very young, so clay is the material that I have always been the most comfortable with. Next slide, please. Let me talk about my father's process a little bit, since he has influenced my process the most. This is, in this picture, he's making ongi jars, big jars called ongi. Ongi jars are traditional Korean ceramic ware used to store fermented food like kimchi or soy sauce. Before the refrigerator, these jars were stored underground to keep temperature control. This pot was disappearing in Korean culture because of technology. When after his undergrad, my father decided to apprentice to the ongi master because he was drawn to the history and tradition of Korea and also drawn to the huge volume of the jar. As you can see in the photo, he used very large coil, and the ongi technique helped him make large jar in short time. Next slide, please. After his apprenticeship, he developed his own work, applying traditional method to contemporary practice. And at that time, he opened his own studio, and this is where I grew up. Next slide, please. Being surrounded by clay, ceramic and clay is the reason I chose clay as my main medium. With my traditional medium clay, I started to explore my own voice in United States. I want to show you some of my work I developed and talk about my process. I learned ongi technique from my father, but developed it in my own way. This is a good example. I built complicated foam and experiment with the sculpting glaze on my work for texture, and began to explore idea of too muchness and overabundance. Next slide, please. More recent work became more architecture. I use more angles and incision, and this is my recent show at Michigan. And abstraction show my intuitions. Next slide, please. As you can see, I create complicated folding foam. After bisque, I fire multiple times. The glaze I use for texture has a clay consistency, so I can sculpt on the pieces. This is the glaze you can see on my piece that look like frosting. I fire once, then I refire again, applying more glaze layer until the piece has an excessive filling. Next slide, please. Here is the final fired product. Next slide, please. In terms of theme, the wet foams and drifting surface embody ravenous consumption, appetite for food, visual beauty, and physical pleasure. In my glaze and complicated foam, I explore appetite and gluttony. I'm interested in excessive nature and repetition of rate state capitalism. Next slide, please. In 2019, when I was at the clay studio, I started thinking about more functional object and living space. On my first one of my first experiments with furniture came from the project I did at the clay studio in collaboration with the Philadelphia Museum of Art. In this project, resident artists chose a piece from PMA collection and responded in their own work. The piece I chose was a 19th century Chinese garden stool. As you can see in the photo, there is a lot of painting and patterns. Each symbol and pattern has meaning. For example, magpie means longevity, peony flower is abundance, pomegranate means fertility. I titled my work Money Chair because the garden stool has an incision of the coins, which means wealth. The stool play up that iconography, but also reflect a more modern sense of overabundance with dripping glaze and bright color, especially green, the American color of wealth. Next slide, please. I developed more furniture pieces that look like my sculptures, cut it in half with the flat top. So there is the conversation between the sculpture and functional. This is the after fire piece, glass top for coffee table. Next slide, please. And here is more ceramic furniture I recently show in Korea, Craft Pioneer. And next slide, please. Here is the series of terracotta side table that I completed recently. I was the collaboration with the designer Kelly Wersler in Los Angeles. They use earthy tones that fit in more with contemporary interior design in California. This project helped me think more about developing interior design project this day. Thank you.
Thank you, Yaram. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay. Now, we will have, last but not least of this portion is Sunku Ya. Thank you, Sunku. Hold on one second. Okay. Sunku Ya was born in 1960 in South Korea, immigrated to the US in 1988, and now resides in Athens, Georgia, where he is a professor of art at the University of Georgia. He earned his BFA degree from Hongik University, Seoul, Korea, and his MFA from the New York State College of Ceramics at Alfred, New York. Ya's ceramic sculpture is composed of tight groupings of various forms, including plants, animals, fish, and human figures. And I'm going to let Sunku tell you more about his work as soon as I pull up. Oh, no, you're going to share your screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 1 second. Okay. Now you can go ahead and share your screen. Thank you, Sunku.
Do you see?
Oh,
Can you hear?
I can hear you. You have to go ahead and share your presentation.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. You see?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Sungu Ya. I'm living in Georgia, Athens, Georgia. But I grew up and, educated in Korea, Seoul, Korea, and came to the United States when I was 28, which is almost late, 20s. The reason I come here, actually, I just wanted to experience, wide world and get back to my own country and set up my studio there. But it never happened, actually. And this is my work, one of the work, in undergrad year. I was always, kind of curious about and, questioning about myself. And, I didn't know who I am. I really, what I'm trying to do, I don't know as an artist at the time. And even, I didn't know my medium also. So there's two types of work from the beginning I made, which is one is a really figurative work and questioning about, my identity as an artist and as a human being. And the other works, was about medium, the clay, the process in ceramics. And after a few years, I still, don't know much about it. And, I try to always, kind of research and experiment with these images and the whole process, how, things happen during the firing, during the drying, all those kind of specific kind of phenomenon, you know, happening in clay. I just, experiment. And when I'm looking back, these two kind of the questions and, always, follow me still after 40 years, I'm working with it. I'm still kind of struggling and try to answer these questions. So first body of work I made, which is, self-portrait. I made a body of work, self-portrait when I, came here in the States, I moved here. I don't speak, not my native tongues, and, far from the, Korea, then I start making this body of work, which is a self-portrait, which is try to find who am I as an artist and human being, and also try to figure it out my role as an artist, as a human being. So it's really, that the question itself is a very fundamental and basic, but really hard to answer. So when I looking back my old work, I was very serious, and also I see it is really dark. It's, there's no. I mean, I was a struggled, but some of the work it has a wing. It shows up. Then I probably wish some hopes I can fly. But, sometimes I'm in a cage. I'm really suffer. And also this, types of work when I make, I was a kind of, a small kids in a candy store. In one work, I tried to put everything kind of asserted candy jar to me, this works. So I'm trying to add all the different techniques from high temperature to low temperature. So cone 10, after that cone 6, lower temperature, lower down to really low temperature. I can add glazes and any kind of sleeve, any kind of different firing atmosphere. So gas kiln and put it in electric kiln. And once again, I put it in a salt kiln, something like that. So maybe this work, I fire more than 20, which is I try to build up some of the layers and kind of emotion. And when I came here, I don't want to study, but that the system, educational system in the state is really different than Korea. And it was nice if I pay a little bit of a tuition, then I can use facility, and also I can meet, great artists around. So I choose to become a, student, and I become a graduate student at the Long Beach, California for 3 years. Then after that, I didn't graduate, but I moved to Alfred University upstate New York, and another, 2 years of my former education. And at the Alfred, the daughter was born. Then there was another, big kind of shifting points of my work. My work was really um, dark and, heavy, but when she was born, my works just express kind of a mundane daily issues, So this is one of the work I made over there, and show the world which my daughter's, going to born. So it's still kind of heavy and dark, when I look it out. But I just wanted to deal with everyday issues into that. So not only, it's really heavy and fundamental, but only, it's instant and casual too. One point, I start, working with drawings and images, which is, I draw kind of spontaneous, drawing and intuitive drawing. And I just put it on my, studio wall. And for a while, I kind of contemplate it and turn this into 3D dimensional sculpture, which means, there's no back and, front or side. It's all around the sculpture I make out of 2-dimensional kind of drawings and images. This images, I think, reflects my inner concerns and about my relationship, that I surrounded which is, many different roles, but it shows up, in that drawings. And without kind of analyze much, I just try to make three-dimensional sculpture out of that. And at the time, I think in this work, there's many unknown kind of stories, or this works it can contain, depends on viewer, cultural and ethnic background, they interpret, their own stories. So that's what I was thought about my work for many years. And recently I doubted about it, but I mean, that's the another things, still I have a question about my work. If it's, I used to think this way, but I'm not sure this is right. And more, I'm trying to convey my emotion through my work and add colors. And, I want probably, share some of the certain emotions through this work. I use a lot of glazes too, and which is, a lot of artists wants to make kind of unique art, their own speak, their own voice. And that was another questions I have a long time. Why I, make these things, and what is my ultimate, goal for this, and which some of the unique way I'm trying to do is applying glazes. I'm not control these glazes when I use 30, 40 different kind of intensive color glazes on the top of each, layers. Some of that glazes, maybe 10 layers, which I don't know what kind of glaze I applied, after I finish it. Then I wish for during the firing, and it, reveal its own beauty, which is beyond my imaginations. And that's what I looking for. There's so many accidents and so many wrong things happen during the whole process. And in somehow I felt, this is really parallel to our own life. Then I really appreciate that. Even there's so many disasters, but I, accept that, those. And this is a work I made, and I'm using a lot of symbols too. I learned from my own culture, but I lived in the, outside of the Korea for longer, and I kind of, learn a lot of symbol from different cultures. Then also I create my own symbols. Then I use, images and symbols through my work. And this is another work, for example, which is I had a show. It's a kind of multiple stacked, kind of face, and the relationship which I have. Clay is a material, has a lot of limitation actually. So that's another, kind of push I've been through last, 40 years. Something like, I have a kind of mission I have to accomplish, as an artist. And scales is another things. So I make big, and I kind of invent my own way to move these things and transfer and fire these things and set it up. So hopefully, someone more accessible to make, larger scale work, and which is, kind of challenging, but it's a wonderful try. It's about, 15, 16, maybe feet tall and 2 tons about, weight. Korean, a Korean, proverb says, human, leaves a name and tiger leaves their letters, right? So I'm thinking about this. I'm over 60 now. Then I'm thinking about, my age, maybe I think is my last, phase of, the period I'm living as an artist. And I'm, concerning what is my, real goal? What really I want to, I mean, I'm struggling in some way. I mean, I don't want, I don't want probably lots of money, but I don't want probably, the fame I chasing, but what I really have to, accomplish as an artist. That's what I'm really thinking about it. And, this exhibition, makes me think a lot, actually. I really appreciate that. And also, with the young, energetic, the Korean American artists, I'm being really honored. And I really appreciate, Jennifer and Mi Kyung and the Clay Studio give us this kind of opportunity to express ourselves and speak up a little bit about it. And I really proud of, the artists, young artists, someone who participate and pushing their own way. It's not going to be easy, but at least, we enjoy these things. And this is worth to pursue it, and continuously. And I hope, everybody have a good and, bright future for their own. I really appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sanku. That's wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so I wanted to mention that Sunku's work is also on view in the Shape of Time exhibition at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. And the other connection we have to that show is Juri Kim, who is a guest artist here at the Clay Studio right now. So we'll move downstairs in a moment or two. I just wanted to take one last opportunity before we're out of the recording to say thank you to everyone. Thank you to all of you for being here in person and on Zoom. Thank you to the artists. I think a lot about how lucky I am, how grateful I am to work at a place like this and to get to spend my days listening to artists talk about their work. I mean, it's really, artists are the empathy muscle of our society. I didn't make that up, but I just can't, I heard someone say that about a year ago, and I can't help thinking about it, especially during the time. Well, there are always struggles, but of course we're having many struggles in life right now, and listening to people talk about inspiration and to share their own personal struggles and personal joys, how much more wonderful could it be? So thank you to everyone.